my house smoking on the couch, and I hear a knock on the door, and I hear Anthony, and my neighbor's name was Anthony. So I think it's my neighbor, knocking on my door, right? And so I'm like, yeah, come on in. So they open the door, and it's a couple of sheriffs, and they come walking in. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, well, come on in, man. And so they come walking in, they kind of like start looking around. I got like a 4-footer water pipe, you want to call it or whatever, laid up against the couch. I got like a smaller one on the table, and there's like a big joint burning on the ashtray. And I'm just like, and they're like, yeah. They were like, you were here, you have a dog? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, they were like, we're here to arrest you for animal cruelty. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we just got your dog. Your dog was brought in. Apparently he was involved in a car accident like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, yeah. I was like, as you can see, I was like, I was in the hospital. I was like, I just got out of the hospital. I had the paperwork right there. I was like, I just got out of the hospital.
Was the dog hurt?
So I guess apparently he had his jaw. I don't know. He had something wrong with his jaw. I don't know exactly what it was, but so I had gotten out of the hospital and didn't know where my dog was. So I'm calling around trying to find my dog. Takes me about a day to find my dog. So he's at one of the kennels in the city. So find out where he's at, and then I have my buddy Paul. My buddy Paul goes and picks up my dog from the kennel place and takes the dog to the vet. This was one day I'm out of the hospital. Picks up the dog, see there's something wrong with his jaw, takes him to the vet. And so we're like, okay, cool. That's where it was like left at. And I guess he was at the vet for a few days, and they didn't know that I was in the hospital. And so they had figured the original car accident date was a couple weeks prior. That's why they called. So I show them all the paperwork, and they're like, okay, we're going to arrest you, but I can see that it was like you're in the hospital, then you find him, but you're still going to have to go to court. So I end up going to court a few weeks later. I show them the paperwork, and they were like, okay, we'll come back in 3 weeks, we'll settle this. Okay. Go back to court 3 weeks later, and they call the case, and I kind of show them. I'm like, hey, like I'm in the hospital. I'm out a day. I find him the next day, and he's at the vet the next day. Right. What's up? Where's my dog at? And the dude in the pews behind me, he's like, hey, if they have a pit bull or a Rottweiler longer than like a couple of weeks, they put him to sleep. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, are you kidding me? And like I'm here. I'm like, so did you guys put my dog to sleep? I'm sitting here in court. I'm sitting here fighting my case, and before I can prove that I'm innocent, you guys are going to put my dog to sleep?
Right.
I was like, how hypocritical is that, man? Like, what's wrong with your guys' system? I start talking shit to the judge, and he starts banging his gavel. He's like, get out of here before I hold you in contempt. Da, 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 da. I just started letting him have it, man. But my buddy that was there kind of helped remove me from the courtroom.
Where was the dog?
They put the dog to sleep.
On me a quarter brick, and my dumb ass turned around in front of that, and I call him. Oh, what's up? I said, you tell me. Nothing. I said, I need to get that bread. He's like, I ain't got it. What do you mean you ain't got it? He's like, I ain't got it. I said, well, you need to come up with it. He said, nah. He said, you're hit. Basically, I mean, in those words,
Well, how much was it?
It was, let's see, back then, I think I was paying about $900 an ounce. So $7,200. Here I am, 17 years old. I just got that on the arm.
Yeah.
So I called my dude. I'm like, hey, man, I need to talk to you. He's like, what's up? I went over to his house and told him, I was like, you know what you gave me? I f***ed up in front of that. And dude said, you know what I mean? I'll pay you back. I said, but I'm gonna straighten this out. I'm going to go get him. He said, I'll tell you what. You go get him and make it right. You don't owe me a penny. Just make sure that you get your name right.
Right.
All right. So I go over. I find out where he lives, because he had moved. He got a nice little house with a fence around it out in the woods. So I start staking it out for a couple of days. And this one night, I'm like, it's over. I see him pull in. He lets his 2 dogs out. He had 2 pits. He goes in the backyard. They piss and everything. Goes back in. I'm watching him. He sits down, starts watching TV and shit. I hopped over the fence. There was a half a center block. He had a grill sitting on half center block. So I moved the grill. And I had the shotgun in this hand. I grabbed the center brick in this one. And I did a complete 360 and slung it through this sliding glass door. And when I went in, both his dogs hopped up. I did boom, boom. And I jumped over the couch, hit him right in the mouth, and knocked a couple of teeth out. And I said, cool? What money? And no, don't kill me. I said, come on, let's go open the safe up. So he opened up the safe, and I ended up tying him up. This old lady was tied up. She was freaking out, too.
Do you have a mask on?
No. No. At the time, I mean, I was young, I was dumb,
Yeah.
So I tell him, I said, listen, man, I'm going to let you live, but you should have never done this in the first place. And really, because I got over 10 grand in cash.
On Wayne Gacy, what kills me is the way he would get these kids. He would overpower them. He'd have them handcuff themselves. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He just tricked them.
Because he went after teenage boys.
Right. He would trick them. He'd get them stoned or drunk. Whatever. You lure them back. And then he'd say, yeah, I've got these he'd pull out the handcuffs and he'd say, yeah, you can look. And he'd handcuff himself and say, look, you can. And he would turn around. He had the key. He'd unlock them and be like, yeah, you can get out of them. Here, put them out. I'll show you. Kid would handcuff himself. And now you're just fucked.
Yeah.
You're wearing a pair of handcuffs.
And then the way they caught him was crazy. So the police knew it was him. So they're like doing all this surveillance on him. John Wayne Gacy, being so arrogant, is like, you know what? You guys want to come in and, it's cold out here because it was in Chicago. You guys want to have dinner? So they're like, yeah, sure. So he invites the cops in that are investigating him. They're having dinner. One of the detectives goes to use the bathroom. So it was cold as hell. Gacy turns on the heat. And when he turns on the heat,
the smell,
the detective can smell dead bodies. And he's like, and he uses that to draft up a search warrant.
Right.
And they find like 20 to 30 bodies under his house.
Interview process is the hardest part in the Foreign Legion. They go, who are you? Why are you here? And then they'll give you an IQ test, a bigger one. And at that point, they give you a fake name. So this is an interesting part of the Foreign Legion. You're required to take a fake name. And then you'll go through some more physical screening tests, but the medical is hard too. They're checking teeth, feet, all this stuff. But they probably would have taken me anyway because I have good teeth anyway. And so then we're off and running to the selection in Oban to the headquarter regiment, which is down near Marseille. So I go through the selection at the headquarter regiment. And they have these things called Gestapo interviews. The Gestapo interviews, it's kind of a coined term, but it's the interrogation piece where they're really going to crack down on who the are you? Why are you here? They're like, why is a Navy SEAL here? Right? Because I brought them my DD-214. They're like, why are you here? They don't want problems with war crimes or United States government and all this. So they really want to get to the bottom of what the hell is. And it was funny because I told these guys, I was like, no, I've never done drugs in my life, which is what you want to tell any military organization. And I didn't have any drug thing. I had drug charges, but no convictions. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because mistake, they did their searches. They have whole teams do all their open source searches and stuff. And they're like, you never done drugs before? I was like, nope. And they pull up a picture. I don't know where they got it from. It's because I was, CEO of this cannabis company. And it's me standing with like bags of weed. They're like, what the f*** is this? I'm like, never touch the stuff. They're like, well, he sticks to his story, so he's smart enough to know that. So they offered me a contract at the 4 days, 8 hours a day of just getting blasted by these guys. The most of anybody. I had the longest interview process. So they offered me a contract. It's like a 5-year contract. We sign it, and then I started the boot camp.
I'm in the interrogation room. I'm steady telling them, white man in the van on Greenwood Road, the parking lot of Popeye. Like that's all I could tell you. That's all I kept saying. My dad walk in, man. My dad just bust through the door like He-Man. Just boom. Get them goddamn handcuffs off my son. He ain't did a goddamn thing. Take them off. So I'm looking like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Man, that law looked at my dad. He said, sir, if you don't come and sit your ass down, you finna go upstairs with your son. So now my daddy like, you all right? Give me the key to the car. Give me your money. Give me your jewelry. We gonna come get you. Don't worry about it. So I see my daddy transform. I'm like, what the damn hero? So as I'm walking upstairs, I got my mat and my pill and stuff in my hand. I'm walking upstairs. So man, next thing I know, on the other side of the pod, it's a guy just stood up on his bunk on the bed and said, hey, that's the dude right there that got caught with all the Jordans. So next thing I know, man, it was like Jesus was talking to the, you know what I'm saying? Like, now everybody that's surrounding me just like, man, how you do it? So the next day, they come get me. They say, hey, if we show you some pictures, would you point them out? I said, yeah, I'll do it. Just talking shit. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So they took me to the federal building across the street. The people hand me a book about this thick. It's probably like fugitives from all over the world or something. You know what I'm saying? So I get the book. Soon when I opened the book, the first page was the guy. So I just played it on now. Nah, that ain't him. I just kept flipping. That ain't him. But every time it get to like a white person, you know, I act like I'm really like, you know, like I'm really checking it out. Cause hey, white man in the van, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, so every time I see a white person, I be like, nah, that ain't him. Keep flipping. Like I'm really just, you know, nah, that ain't him. So I done went through this whole book. So finally, I got a bond. I get out. As we pulling in the yard, that was the worst phone call I ever can get.